Welcome back, Sober Family. This is another episode of Recovery Talk, brought to you by Pro Recovery Power. It's good to be back. I did take some time off. I took about a month off, to give more time and attention toward my family, my wife and my son. But we are back. I'm so excited to be doing this. I love doing these things. Anything recovery related, I'm in. I can do it all day, all night, But today, my guest that I have, I'm so excited for this live today. Jodi Barber is going to be going live with me. I'm going to get her on here in a second. I met her. I got to have an opportunity to speak at a college in Santa Ana a couple weeks back, and this is where I met her. And I got to hear her story. My first thought was, oh my gosh, I got to get this lady to go live with me so she can continue to spread her message. She's an advocate for recovery. Amazing. This woman's heart is the same as mine in regards to helping people that are struggling with addiction. So I'm really excited. Hey, Blair, what's up? Miko Mango. What's up, ladies? It's good to see all you guys. And it's good to be back. I love doing these lives. I really did. But it was a much needed, break for me to get my attention toward, my family. I don't think God wants me to operate in my purpose and my calling and my passions at the expense of my family. So I got the message. So I made the proper adjustments, and here we are. We're back now. Really excited for this. So without further ado, let me get Jodi in here. Okay, Jodi, you can accept it, and then you'll be joining the live. There she is. Oh, let me fix my camera. Hey, Jodi, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you for having me today.
All right. Thank you for being here. I was just telling everybody, how we met, and it's amazing, how God works and, the doors that he opens and, the people that I have met, I know this is not the case for everybody, but, during the pandemic, when it started, the whole entire year of 2020, was such just a horrific year for a lot of people. But for me, to be honest, it was one of the best years of my entire life. There was increase in all areas of my life, but more than all of that, I got to meet so much different people that I'm so close to today that I've only known through social media, and then things started opening up in California. And then, okay, now we're meeting in real life, it's amazing. It's so cool. But thank you so much. I'm so grateful because I know your story. I'm just so excited for everybody else to hear it. The passion that you have. You're so driven. I don't want to kind of get all into your story. I'll let you tell it, But Jodi, before we get started, I just wanted to ask you a couple questions. Now, just to make this clear for everybody that's watching, Jodi, she is not an alcoholic. She's not a drug addict. She lost a son in this fight. So anyways, here's the first question, Jodi. So how long have you been on this mission, on this, like what you're doing?
Oh gosh, my mission started actually the day it happened to my son. And that was January 8th, 2010. Because the reason it started was because my husband and I asked ourselves this question: where was the regulating?
Mm-hmm.
And how was my son able to get a hold of something so strong as Opana, oxymorphone? So that's when my mission began, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I remember the story, man. It's amazing. You guys bust out you guys tissue. I'm not kidding. When I spoke, I think it was after Jodi, when I first met her. I swear, like the first 5 seconds I was up there talking to her, I started crying. And I have the proof. It was recorded. But it really just touched my heart, and I was like, man, I gotta get this woman to go live with me to spread her message as well. The next question is, where are you from? Where are you from, Jodi?
Oh, I'm from Orange County, South Orange County, and I wanted to say, it touched you because you probably love your mom.
Yes.
Right, and
yes.
a lot of sons love their moms, and they're close to their moms, and so my story hopefully does help save a son's life and a daughter's life or anybody's life. But it was that special bond that I had with them. Yeah,
my mom actually passed away this year, but I was very, very, very close to my mom, just like how you described. It was My mom, she was such a, special person. I feel like every son should feel like this about their mother. But my mom really was, man. But now she had cancer. She had cancer a few times. She had like, I think 12 or 13 surgeries like her whole life. And she never complained at all.
Oh,
Never.
bless her
Like,
heart.
at all. She always
Yeah.
was so nice and kind and
Yeah.
generous. And so, oh man.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm
and then so
sorry.
no, thank you so much. Yeah. So how can people find you? Because after you guys hear her story, you guys might want to reach out there. So how can people find you, Jodi?
Thank you. Actually, it's I have a website. It's called overtakenlives.org.
Hmm.
And I'm also on Facebook, and I post a lot on Facebook,
Yeah.
Jodi Barber, and
Mhm.
also Instagram and Twitter. So all of the social media, I just want to get the message out there any way where I can.
Yes,
So
absolutely. Okay,
yeah,
awesome. Okay, real quick before I give you the floor to kind of get into your whole story, I just want to take a second, real quick, guys, to talk about PRP. As you guys know, I haven't gone live for about a month, so just to give you guys the more updates, we are officially a nonprofit organization. We host recovery meetings on Wednesday night through Zoom. If you guys want to attend, please reach out to me. I post about it, every week, and it's for all fellowships. It's a non-denominational recovery meeting, but it's also open to people that have been touched by the software, such as like a Jodi, like a family member, friends, things like that. We also have a fundraiser coming up. Our first fundraiser is going to be in Anaheim on November 6th. I'll be posting more. If you guys want more details, you guys can reach out to me. Also, if you guys want to go live with me, just like how I'm doing with Jodi, please reach out. I'm filling up my calendar again. I took a month off. And then my last announcement before we get into Jodi's story is a lot of you guys do know that my wife, and my son, we are moving back to Hawaii. I started this nonprofit specifically to help the people of Hawaii. So we are moving back in November, right after our fundraiser. So it's gonna be like our fundraiser slash like going away, kind of party thing, I guess you could say. Okay, Jodi, but without further ado, now I will give you the floor to tell us your story. I forgot my tissue though, so.
thank you. Do you happen to have my poster with you that you can
Yes, I
show?
do. I'll go get it.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, so I'll go ahead and start talking and sharing my story. So almost 12 years ago, January 8th, 2010, I lost my 19-year-old son to a prescription drug overdose. And I lost three of his very close friends too that I loved and I knew very well. And I loved them all. And it was a nightmare back then in 2010. Thank you for getting the poster.
Yes.
So what happened was Jared he started smoking marijuana, and I found out when he was 17, and he had told me that he had started smoking when he was about 14, freshman year in high school, and he just couldn't stop smoking pot. He really he liked it. He enjoyed doing it. It was his medicine. He wasn't getting high off of it. He was trying to explain to me the reasons he was taking and smoking pot is because of his anxiety. And so that was an issue. It was a big issue, actually. He was getting in trouble, because of the pot. Got a DUI and got in trouble at school because they found a joint in his car. Things were happening. The police were calling from a friend's house that he was at. And, so that was an issue for us. And then he broke his collarbone when he was almost 17. And the nurse called me from the hospital, and she said, I have your son here. He broke his collarbone, and I'm going to give him something called Vicodin. And I said, okay, great. Thank you for doing that, for his pain. I don't want him in pain. So she gave him the Vicodin, and I had no clue, no idea that my son continued to take Vicodin. And so where was he getting it? He was getting it not from a doctor himself because he didn't have cash. He was only 17. So there was a doctor 45 miles away that was overprescribing Vicodin and actually anything that teenagers, if they're 18 years of age, asked for. So his friends were going into her office in less than 5 minutes, coming out with 150 Vicodin, 300 Norcos, Somas, Oxycontin, and then something called Opana, oxymorphone. Oxymorphone is much stronger than Oxycontin. It's supposed to be only for terminal stage cancer, for terminal stage life. It's very, very addicting. And what they did was they cut it up in the quarters and they shared. So for some of them, it led to heroin. And I know my son did try heroin. I don't know how many times. The heroin on the streets, that was much cheaper because one pill cost up to $80 at the time. So it was expensive. Vicodin, Norco, Oxy, Opana, that is heroin. That's all heroin in a pill. And so this doctor knew what she was doing. Her name was Dr. Lisa Singh, and she knew exactly what was happening. She was getting all her clients addicted to prescription drugs, and she didn't care. She had an overdose in her bathroom. The line was 2 hours out the door. People were coming from 100 miles away from Arizona. There was a young man who came there, and he actually died 9 days later. So she was the cause for numerous deaths. She was the cause for numerous families being destroyed by addiction. I started working with the DEA because I discovered, what she was doing. I brought in a poster into her office. And Alika, you're going to show the
This
poster?
poster right here. This is the poster Jodi's talking about.
There's the poster. And my son is on the top row in the center with all his friends. Yeah,
that's Jared.
There's Jared, and there's Riley and Max and John and Ryan. They were all good friends, and they knew each other since middle school, and they played baseball together. And all these young people on my poster, as young as 15 years old, were addicted to prescription drugs. Some of them switched to the tar heroin on the streets, and so they all passed away. And I put that poster in business windows with my home number, and I started getting phone calls for help. And to this day, this is what I do. I still get the calls for help. So I took that poster into Dr. Lisa Singh's office, and I asked her, first question was, do any of these kids look familiar to you? And no comment. And I said, look, real hard. And I said, I'm sure you recognize most of these teenagers. And I said, why would you prescribe something called Opana to these teenagers knowing that they didn't have terminal stage cancer, knowing they weren't in pain? Why would you overprescribe Oxycontin and Vicodin? And she said no comment until she finally said it's the parents' fault. And I said, no. I said, although it was my son's choice he made to see you, I said, they had no idea how addictive these opioids would be. We all make poor choices in life. I mean, they had no clue what was going to happen to them. And I said, you were the professional and you knew better. And then I walked out, and she, a few months later, was arrested finally. She was under investigation for 2 years at the time. I'm like begging the DEA, crying in his office and saying, what's it going to take to bring her down and take her license, revoke her license, and get her butt in jail? And so there were other parents involved as well. There were civil lawsuits and then the criminal case, and she ended up in jail 30 years to life. Mm-hmm. So thank God for that, because she did destroy lives. So my son's now addicted to prescription drugs, and we found him nodding off in our backyard at 3 a.m. And that's when we knew he was on something strong. So my husband and I didn't know what to do. We were confused. We went to a psychologist. The psychologist referred us to, quote, best doctor in Orange County. That doctor just put Jared on more pills. He didn't offer any counseling, nothing. And this is in an outpatient, setting. And knowing that Jared might relapse on Opana, it's dangerous to prescribe benzodiazepines with opioids. That's a bad combination. And it's deadly. So he prescribed Klonopin, 2 Klonopin, Cymbalta. He switched, it was Prestique, and then he wasn't working. He switched it to Cymbalta. So this was in October 2009. And in 3 months, my son passed. So Jared was relapsing on Opana throughout that time period. In October, and then Thanksgiving Day with the whole family over, he relapsed on Opana. It was a nightmare. And then Christmas Day at Grandma's, he also relapsed, and bloody nose, and he didn't want to eat. It was pretty sad. And then January 6th, one more visit with that doctor. This time I'm in the waiting room. I went into every visit. And this time Jared walked out with handful samples of Seroquel. And the doctor said take on the prescription, it was 3 to 4 Seroquel at bedtime. 3 to 4 Seroquel. And so I looked that up online, and I didn't like the side effects. And I said, you're not taking that. And so he kept 1 box. And on January 7th, went to bed at 11 o'clock at night. Jared was a little tired. He was with 2 friends watching a movie. And we woke up at 3 in the morning, and my husband called me downstairs, and his dad tried to wake him, excuse me, and he couldn't wake him. Jared was snoring when his friends left, so they thought he was just sleeping, but he was in a drug-induced coma. Jared had snorted Opana, a quarter of a pill, 1 more time. He took the 3 Seroquel for the first time. So he had 3 Seroquel. He had a quarter of Opana. He had the 2 Klonopin I was giving him, and Cymbalta, and still marijuana in his system. And so he was rushed to the hospital where he was born, and Jared passed away at 3:47 a.m. And then we came home and woke up his brother, who was then 15, and told Blake the news. And Jared was 19, Blake was 15. And so this is, the nightmare that we live with. And it was preventable. And that's why I do this, is because all these beautiful lives taken too soon. And these are moms and dads, and anybody can die from opiates. I mean, it's happening at any age to any good family. So it's all preventable. And that's why I do this. And people do need to be educated. And so today, about 7 years ago, it was when fentanyl hit Orange County. And the fentanyl was getting worse and worse each year. And it's so bad now, as we know. Over 91,000 lives were taken last year. Orange County alone, it's a nightmare. I mean, all over, we know it's a nightmare. These fentanyl deaths are happening. So there's kids as young as 14 that are going on something called Snapchat. And, excuse me, the chat goes away. It disappears, so the parents can't see what they're doing. So they're getting what they think is a Xanax. And why, I don't know. 14 years old, they're asking for Xanax, Oxycontin. And it's not. It's actually fentanyl. And so this is a fentanyl death poisoning. Those parents who lost their kids, they don't call it an overdose. They're calling it's a murder. It's a poisoning. And so that's going on as well. So we need to, keep doing what you're doing with these podcasts and educating people and spreading awareness and doing events and keep sharing, what we know.
Yes, absolutely. And guys, here, I'll just show you guys this again. This is Jodi's poster. So that was her son, Jared. Look, he was 19. Let me read some of these other people. Steven was 28. Mark was 17. Cassandra was 21. Zachary, 23. Jessica was 17. Look at this guy, Nolan. He was 15 years old. Cassandra, 21. Kelsey, 16 years old. Sam was 19. Nick, 19. Another Nick, 25. I mean, this stuff is killing people. Look at it. Look at all of this. Beautiful. I mean, this is really, when I met Jodi and I heard her story, I remember reaching out my hand to you. And as soon as you touched my hand, I started crying, but it's because, people like you, people like you, people like your son, people that's hooked on drugs, people, that's why I do what I do. I'm so passionate, about helping people, because I'm in 100% agreement with you when you say it's preventable. I believe, death is inevitable, but death due to addiction or some sort of overdose is 100% preventable. It's just a matter of, the message of recovery coming out of our mouths into the ears of the people struggling before they die, before. When I go around and I speak at different institutions, or I do like podcasts or lives, my goal, the reason why I do this, why I share my story and encourage and try to educate people is so I can help lift their bottom higher. Because we cannot argue anybody into getting sober. It just does not work. Very ineffective. So the goal for me is to inspire them or encourage them to lift their bottom higher, because I've met people. I had a girlfriend early on in recovery, and these people, they died before they hit their bottom, you know. And real quick, before I continue to go on, guys, if you guys have any questions for Jodi, please write them in the question box over here on the bottom of the right around there. So because if it's in the comments, I might miss it. So if you guys could, you guys have any questions, you guys want to say anything to her, please write it in there so it'll alert me. Now getting back to all these kids. Now, another thing you guys don't know that Jodi didn't mention, she's also a producer. She produced 2 documentaries called Overtaken. I mean, you know, what you do is truly, truly amazing and very inspiring, you know, for a mother to do, you know, go through all of this. Like, this is like probably my biggest fear is outliving my kids, you know, and that's something that you live with every day. And I cannot imagine I don't want to imagine, to be honest, how that feels, you know. But I believe that, like you said, death due to like an overdose, death due to an addiction is 100% preventable. I totally believe that. And here, there's some people talking to you. I don't know if you're reading the comments, Jodi.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you're saying. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's Nicole. Nicole knows her stuff. She knows what she's talking about, you know. So
thank you.
This is truly amazing, guys. So, like, if you guys, please get in contact with Jodi. You guys can build a relationship, talk more. Our fundraiser that I talked about is going to be on November 6th. Jodi will be there, and she will be speaking there at this fundraiser. I heard her story. I was like, okay, we got to go live. We got the fundraiser. I got to put the microphone in this lady's hand. People need to hear this, because it's coming from the perspective of a mother, not an alcoholic, not a drug addict. It's a mother that lost her son, you know. So somebody got a question over here, Jodi. Okay, this is from my friend Haley. She said, what would you tell parents that fear their child may be suffering from addiction?
Wait, say that one more time.
Oh, okay.
What do they do if they're suffering from addiction?
What would you tell parents that fear their child may be suffering from addiction?
Oh, okay. Good question.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wait. Don't do anything about it. Do something right then. If you think that your child, if you have any question in your mind that your child is suffering from addiction, call up a rehab, get them help, because the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be. So the second, really get on that phone tomorrow and make those calls, and don't expect them to have to do all the work, because they're sick. And it's not enabling at all by getting on the phone and calling a rehab and checking these places out online for them. You know, help them. They're sick. It's just like cancer or any other disease. This is a brain disease, and they need support. So support them, and don't feel shameful. Talk about it. You get help yourself. You know, this is a family disease, so the parents need help. I was so confused. I had no idea what to do about my son. If I had known then what I know now, maybe he'd be here today. Education, awareness, it's all important. But get the help. There's all these meetings that you can go to and attend. Also, there's a gentleman on Instagram. His name is Scott Silverman. He's an interventionist. He's got a great book. He makes phone calls. He can talk to you over the phone and help get your son or daughter into treatment. He can talk to them. I also, if you're local, I go into the homes. I volunteer my time, excuse me, and I've done plenty of interventions myself where I'll go into the home and talk to their son and daughters. And so, sometimes it's worked and sometimes it didn't, but later on they ended up going. So anyway, just don't wait. Don't wait.
Yeah,
do something about it.
Like you, of all people, like you've been through this, and you've been through this loss with your son. For you to come into the homes and give up your time away from your family to go help somebody else's family, that's huge. Not very many people will do that. And you said something that just now that really caught my attention. I think you may be the first non-alcoholic or non-addict I have heard say this. You said, they're sick. They're sick. They need help. Everybody that I heard so far that has been non-addict or non-alcoholic, it don't come off like that. It don't come off, something I've learned about, people like me. We're not bad people trying to get good. We're sick people trying to get well.
Yeah.
Typically,
Yeah.
addicts, alcoholics understand that, but other people around us, they don't. All they do is make these and it's understandable because we rob people, we steal from family, we got these behaviors, and so I get it. It makes sense. But again, it's out of pure ignorance. They just don't know. The lack of education, kind of like what we were just talking about, and that's why it's for me. It's telling my story and educating. It's both in the same for me, anyways. Coming like from my formal schooling, my own experiences, and all my work in my 12-step fellowship. I mean, all of that combined, that's what I take with me when I carry this message of recovery. So there's another question here. Let's see. Let's check this out. Okay, Nicole, she asked, okay, she wasn't here in the beginning, but you can answer this again. How can we get in touch with you? She's asking.
Okay, through my website or through social media. My website's overtakenlives.org. Also on Facebook, if you do Facebook, you can contact me there, Jodi Barber in Messenger. You can private message me or DM me on Instagram. There's a lot of ways. And my phone number, 949-280-1672. You can call me as well. Stigma is what's killing a lot of these people.
Yes.
And so the stigma that surrounds addiction has to be broken. It's been going on for way too many years. And it does kill. So, that's just an important message right there.
Yeah.
Honestly, I love my friends who have kids who didn't go through this, who have supported me and supported my work and gone to my events, even though their kids didn't have an addiction issue. They still, they don't see the stigma. And so I love that. I hold events every year for International Overdose Awareness Day, and it's a great event. I've done that. And Overtaken is in schools. I do presentations in schools, and I bring young adults with me. And so you can watch Overtaken and Overtaken 2, The Message of Hope. It's the sequel to the first one on YouTube. I also give away free DVDs as well. So if you want Overtaken in your kids' health class, I can mail you a DVD. And so it is part of the health curriculum in a lot of schools in the health classes. There's also a lesson plan that goes with it. That's awesome. But it is on YouTube as well. So I would suggest, if you have a teenager, son and daughter, or middle schooler, even elementary, have their friends, because you want to know who their friends are. You want to know who they're hanging around with. Have their friends over and do a pizza party and turn on Overtaken and have them watch Overtaken. And know what they're doing when they're at their friend's house. What my son was doing at his friend's sleepovers was smoking a joint. And I found that out later on. And it's like, okay, I'm not, now I know. So have your kids' friends at your house sleeping over instead of having them at their house. Because during sleepovers, I don't trust sleepovers anymore. It's like,
right.
uh-oh.
As you're talking about, the stigma needs to be broken. Nicole, again, she commented, she says, "Thank you, Jodi, for spreading the truth of the disease to those who are not addicts. The stigma isolates addicts, and that's when they die." I couldn't agree with her more, about that. It's amazing. Like you are a non-addict, non-alcoholic carrying the same exact message I carry as an alcoholic and an addict. Like that's very rare. I've never met anybody like you, but I'm so glad that I have. I know this, but could you kind of talk about, because I posted it, I talked about it, about how because of you some laws changed. Can you kind of tell us about that?
Well, the stigma that you're talking about, the stigma right now. I'm
No,
sorry,
about laws being changed because of you.
Oh, the law. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, um, I love hearing from the people that I did help. And it fills my heart with, it gives me that strength, to keep going. And so when I get that message that, you helped me and I'm doing well today and, I'm married and have kids and blah, 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 it's like, it just fills my heart with so much love for them and for God and for my son Jared, because without them, I don't know if I could continue that strength that I've been given. I mean, this is why I've continued for so long, is because I get those signs from Jared and from God. And the
Yeah.
signs are incredible. And they prove to me that Jared's with me and God took him for this reason. And
Yeah.
so when, it's an army out there that are saving lives, and you're saving lives, and all our kids up there are saving lives,
Right.
that.
And could you kind of speak about that? You just kind of touched on it. You talked more about it when I first heard your story, but you just talked about how, God took Jared at like an early age for a purpose. Because most parents, they'll blame God and they hate God and my life is horrible now. You talked more about it when I first heard your story live. Could you kind of speak on that?
Yeah, I mean, you know God, there's a reason for everything, right? And when he passed away, my friend said it happened for a reason. And at that time, I said no, and I was mad at God. And I said, there's no good reason why God took my 19-year-old son away from me. But after Jared passed away, and then three of his close friends that I loved, in that same year, it's like, okay, wait a minute. You know what? I gotta share this. I gotta speak out. And even after it just happened to Jared, his health teacher asked me to come into his health class and talk about what happened to Jared. And it's like, okay, oh my gosh, you know what? God took Jared for this reason, to save lives, to
Yeah. Mhm.
keep other families from going through this, because I'm getting a call from now his health teacher, and it's like God knew that I had a big mouth and that I wasn't going. I mean, he did. I was the one yelling at the baseball games that I went to with Jared's pitching. It's like, okay, that was a strike. Come on, and so I'm like yelling at the umpire, and but it's so important not to keep it inside, and not to lie and say my son died from a heart issue. And I wasn't
Mhm.
going to say that. I didn't care what people thought. You don't care what people think. It's like,
Yeah.
you want to save another kid here, or another mom or dad or brother or sister. And so I wasn't going to keep quiet. um, I shared my story out loud. you
Yeah.
know
Out
it
loud.
was
Oh, there
just,
you go.
yeah, it's like I really didn't care what people thought.
And
I just,
I believe just that will stop us from moving forward, just caring what people think. Because I mean I mean I don't know, maybe not. This lady, the doctor saying, maybe because of you, kind of tipped the thing to where, okay, she's in prison now. I mean, there's families that you've helped already. I mean, it's been 11 years already. I mean, there's a ton of people that you've helped in that 11 years, that without, Jared, if you were still here, none of these families would have been helped, by you. So it's amazing. It's amazing. You're so amazing. I can't wait to hear you again at our fundraiser. Like, you know,
I just want to thank you. I know I can't wait to see you and give you a hug.
yeah.
Um, and I want to mention too, about prevention.
Hmm.
Naloxone, Narcan, super important. Have that
Yeah.
Narcan in your homes, in your pockets, in your purses. It saves lives.
Yeah.
It's not enabling by any means. If they have another chance at life, that's what's most important. Physicians must now co-prescribe Narcan in hospitals to at-risk patients, and that's important. And also there's it's called Deterra System. You can go online and look
Hmm.
it up, www.deterrasystem.com, and these are pouches that get rid of your expired and unused medications, which you need
Hmm.
to do, because I'll tell you, you just don't know if it may
Hmm.
not be your son or daughter, but it might be their friends that come in and take a few from your bottle. Grandparents need to, you need to lock up your medications or
Yeah.
dispose of them, because you just don't know. And
Exactly.
this
Because
is
like, oh, go ahead,
that's how
Jody.
big.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that can be the beginning of addiction. They'll
Yes.
just, it
Yeah, and
only takes a few.
yeah, it's crazy. When I was a kid, you never seen posters like this. Kid dying at 17, at 15, at 20. Like that wasn't around, but like, specifically the prescription drug world, is killing kids okay, like the kid got high blood pressure. Oh, okay, take this pill. I mean, how about go to the beach or go do some jumping jacks or go to the gym? Don't why they're just being prescribed all kind of
Exactly.
pills. It's nuts.
That's right. And it's so true. My other son, he's awesome. Anyway, he
Mhm.
just had four of his wisdom teeth pulled all at the same time. And he didn't want to take Norco, but he took a Tylenol and took one more Tylenol that day. He came home. That's all he needed. The next day, he didn't take anything. But yeah, for even a broken collarbone, Tylenol, and rotate that with Advil, that works. That works
Mhm.
really well. So try that first, and if that's not working, then you might, if you're in severe pain and you really can't handle the pain, then go to the doctor. But try that first.
Right.
And, and therapy, and, go holistic, like you said, and there's all this therapy that you can do for minor injuries. Do
Mhm.
that. Don't take an addictive opioid, because you'll go down that dark hole and you may not get out. So, but
Yes.
there is hope, and there is hope. You're the
There's
hope,
hope.
and as long as you're walking, talking, and breathing, there's always hope. And there's
Yeah.
thousands of people that are in recovery doing so well and living a normal life. So,
Yes.
yeah. So,
All right,
yeah.
Jody. Thank you. Thank you. So, as we kind of winding down, I have some questions here. I want to ask you. Also, for everybody that's still here with us, if you guys you guys have questions, please write it down in the question mark box so I get an alert so I can see it. But okay, Jody. So, my first question is this. So, lots of mothers have lost their children to addiction. So, what keeps you going? What is it?
What keeps them?
What keeps you going? Because a lot,
Oh,
lot of
what keeps
mothers
me
have
going?
lost their
Yes,
kids. Yeah.
mothers. I thought you said brothers. Okay.
Oh,
um, mothers, mothers. What keeps me going is my husband,
hmm
my son Blake. They're amazing, amazing humans, and my mission,
Yeah.
because I do have a purpose, and it keeps
hmm
me going,
hmm
and it's just so important to me, to have that purpose. And
Yes.
I did have a purpose before I was a mom and a
Yeah.
wife. But now I have this purpose as well. And it's an important purpose. And like I said, God took Jared for a reason. So
hmm
this keeps me going. And, I still have a happy life with my son and my husband. And, you have to remember, if you have other children, and if you lost one child and you have another child there at home, you have to remember that. I know these moms that want to go, they want to be up in heaven with their
hmm
kid, their son or daughter, when they all have their other kids here. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's
Yeah.
very, very, very hard. And I miss Jared every minute, every day, every single day, and every minute.
hmm
Um, but my son Blake, would he deserve that? No. you know
Right.
and
That's
I
a good
love
point.
Blake.
I like that you made that point. That's a good one.
Yeah, I love Blake so much, and there's no way in hell that I would ever think of that. So, um, yeah, it's okay.
No. Okay. Oh wait.
They'll be okay.
There's another question here. Oh,
Okay.
this is from my friend, the unicorn. Her name is Morgan. So she says, my stepdad just lost his son to a fentanyl overdose. What is something I can do to help him with his grief? That's a great question.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm so sorry for the loss. That's so sad. Um, Really, just be there, have an open ear and be there for them. Talk, let them talk about it and say their name, and A lot of times their name isn't mentioned anymore. A lot of times their name is forgotten. They're forgotten by family members and friends. And it's like you want to keep their name alive. You want to keep them alive, and you want to still talk about them. And so share those happy stories and happy moments, and and just you know clean their toilets for them. Clean, help with their chores or help with dinner, or just show the support, show that
Yeah,
support.
absolutely.
So
Okay.
anything in any way.
All right. The next question is so as a parent, what advice would you give other parents?
Who lost a child,
Yes.
or who lost a
Yeah.
child.
Hmm.
So there are
Or
meetings
maybe also maybe that never lost their child, but the child is
that
struggling.
that are struggling. Okay, so for those that have lost a child, or a loved one that they loved, or a friend, or whatever, there are those grief meetings that they can attend, either online or in person. And so look them up on the computer, Google grief meetings, and I'm sure they'll find one near them. And also on the internet, on Facebook. So if they need that kind of support, I would suggest that they would go and look on Facebook and find support there, because it does help. It really does. And they can talk to other parents and form maybe a group, and have coffee with the other moms, and support each other and talk about your kids.
Right.
And
Okay.
yeah.
So there's another. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And for the parents who are struggling with their kids, go to an Al-Anon meeting, and go to those meetings, and get the help that they need as well. Again, talk to other parents too that are struggling with their kids, form a group, and
Hmm.
talk about it. Don't keep it inside. They need to
Hmm.
talk about it. That's important.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So there's another question here. It's, it says if my child doesn't want, I think, to seek help, uh, or get help out of addiction, what is a suggested course of action to take?
Okay, so how old is that child?
Oh, there's no age on the question.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
if they're under 18, do your best to get them help, because once they turn 18, they can
Hmm.
walk out.
Hmm.
So, you do everything in your power to help them, the best you know how. And go online and seek the treatment centers that are near you that will take your insurance, and make sure that it's a long-term program, not a 30-day program, because that really won't do much. They need at least 90 days, and have them get the help that they need. There's not enough places for teenagers. I know that, but Teen Challenge is a great program, and it's free. It's a Christian-based program. It's a 2-year program, and so that can help their
Yeah.
teenager. Yeah.
Yeah. My take on the whole thing, because I work in treatment too. It's when I first got sober, like 30 days. I mean, I was still in the days at 30 days.
Oh yeah.
Like the teen challenge. 2 years. Like, I mean, I think my take on it is you're going into treatment. You should be in treatment for at least a year. Because there's so much stuff to learn, to unlearn, to learn, to discover, to work on. I mean, it's not like this, okay, and I mean, it's a whole, I don't want to get into it, but like with insurance and stuff, with treatment, and it's crazy how the industry works, so,
Yeah,
but
and
it takes a while.
exactly. And it's not a one size fit all.
Hmm. Hmm.
What works for one doesn't work for everybody. So, maybe rehab won't work for them. Maybe they've been in treatment over and over and it's not working. Try the MAT program, medication assisted treatment. I've seen the progress, and I've seen what it does, and it does save lives, and it's not enabling. They're not on the medication for a lifetime. They're on it for 6 months, maybe a year, just until their lives are back in order. So
Hmm.
it's something out here anyway in Orange County at the My Mat treatment program is called My Mat Clinic. And they offer something called Sublocade, which Medi-Cal takes and covers. It's a once a month injection.
Hmm.
That
Like
alone with
Vivitrol. Like Vivitrol?
it's similar to Vivital,
Yeah.
but yeah, this is like once a month, which is great, and counseling. So they
Hmm.
have counseling. You can't just go on Suboxone. I
Yeah.
don't believe
Yeah.
in that. I don't
Yeah.
believe in that. But you need to have counseling, and to
Hmm.
to really get your life back in order and talk. Like I said, talk, talk, talk. It's important.
Right.
So
And I like that you said that coming from a non-alcoholic, non-addict, because we say it all the time as addicts and alcoholics, because we found out like, okay, the drink, the drug wasn't really the problem. It was our thinking, it was our behaviors. So if I just go in, just give me the shot, and then no counseling, no nothing, nothing happened upstairs. I'll go out and I can still, rob you, I can still lie to you, I can still manipulate, but oh, I'm staying sober though. It's like
yeah. Yeah, I know. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's just another, it's like cancer, you have to do chemo for cancer and
Mhm.
and it saves you. So, if Sublocade, anything that will save a life, I believe in. And so, but again, you can't just like go on Suboxone and stay on that for 15 years,
Yeah.
because that can really mess you up too. So,
Mhm.
and a lot of them abuse it. So I don't really,
Yeah,
I
and
hear I hear the
yeah,
complaints about it.
you're right. Yep, I know. I sponsor some guys that's been on it, but we got some Supplicate supporters in the house. Nico and Nico, they're talking about it there in the comments. And I couldn't agree
Yeah,
with you guys more on that. As a 12
yeah,
stepper, I'm a big supporter of harm reduction from somebody that's in the 12 step culture. That's not very common, because it's total abstinence 12 step culture. But it wasn't until I became a counselor and I started making new friends that, things like, like all of these different methods of harm reduction, whether it was whatever, anything, methadone or whatever it was, like it's helped save their life. Initially, my thought coming from 12 step culture was, well, harm reduction, there's no solution in that. You still get narcotics in your system, what stuff like that. But it wasn't until my mind kept getting open and open to the idea of, wow, but it saves people's lives, and that's what I'm all about. When I found that out, I was like, oh yes, I started supporting it like instantly. I became like instantly. I became a supporter of harm reduction because I got educated about it, and I had friends that had saved their lives. So oh yeah, oh, you're getting me too excited. I gotta calm down.
yeah,
um,
yeah. Yeah. I
so
understand, you understand that you have to do the work. Yes, of
right,
course, that the individual, it's not going to be easy. And going on Sublocade, it's not just like they go to the My Mac clinic and get your injection and that's it. They have to do the work. And then
yeah,
the counseling in itself is work. It's hard to talk about and share your story and share things that happen to you. And that is hard work. I believe right there.
yeah,
So
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna move on to my next question. You talked about it a little bit, but will there be an Overtaken Part 3?
Overtaken part. Okay, so Overtaken one consists of several young adults sharing their stories of addiction. I wanted
Mhm,
to end the stigma that surrounds addiction. Christine Wood and I produced that.
mhm,
And they're cheerleaders and football players and straight A students. And
mhm.
and then Overtaken 2, the message of hope, is the same young people sharing their stories. Check on another 7 years to that when I did make it. And they're still married, having kids, doing great. The message
Mhm.
of hope is so important, what their lives are like now compared to then. And, I mean, if they can get clean and sober. So, okay, Overtaken 3 should be actually updated as well, talking about maybe fentanyl in there.
Yeah,
And then where those young people are today, they're still clean
right.
and sober. They're still
Yeah,
doing great and have. So that might
yeah.
happen. I'm thinking
I've
about it.
seen, yeah, I've watched both of them. I forgot the girl's name in there. She went into a coma because she was dehydrated. She took ecstasy. Was she talks really slow now? Is that her?
Yeah, Asia.
That's her. Yeah, Asia. Yeah. But then she went
Yeah.
on to go to USC and she graduated and everything. you know?
Yeah, Asia went.
Yeah.
Yeah, she went to US. She's doing awesome. She moved to Colorado and she's loving it. And she's
Okay.
gorgeous and she's so smart. Yeah, but you have to watch it. Make sure you watch Overtaken 1 and 2 and see where Asia, what happened to Asia and where she's at
Yeah.
today. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
incredible.
You guys should really go check
All
that
of
out.
them.
Yo,
Yeah, I mean,
check it out.
just
It's on
you
YouTube.
know, yeah, and then you see Cole, right? And
Hmm.
Cole, who this is how hard it is to stop. I mean, he was in his car in his driveway picking up his fix, and his mom runs out to stop him. He
Hmm.
doesn't care. He needs his fix. He's craving
Hmm.
it. He backs up and runs her over. And at
Yeah.
that moment, all he cared about was his fix.
Hmm.
So that's how powerful heroin is. And
Yeah.
but they have a great relationship today, and he's been clean and sober, and he's gone to numerous schools throughout the years with me and spoken and shared his story, and he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Um,
Awesome.
yeah.
So excited. So, well, somebody else already asked my fourth question, so we'll skip that one. They asked it in the comments. So this is the last question I'll ask you uh, before we wrap this up is, okay, what would you say to encourage people that has a loved one struggling with addiction?
So if they have a loved one struggling with addiction,
Hmm.
they need to reach out. They need to
Mm.
they really need to talk. They need to talk to their loved one who has the addiction. It has to be that person who wants the help. If he or she doesn't want help, it's going to be really hard to help them. But you don't want to. I don't really believe in kicking them out, because it's a sickness, as I mentioned. It's a brain disease, and they're sick, and they need that support. But it's very hard if they have siblings at home to keep them there. And you don't
Mhm.
want your other child to go through what what you're going through and
Yeah.
what they have to witness, and that's hard. So it's a really tough thing. But if they're under the age of 18, keep them there and get them help. I don't believe in kicking them out if they're under 18. And like I said, go online and go Google the places that are either near you or not near you. Maybe send them to another location that's further away from their friends and where they can just walk out.
Right. Absolutely. So, hey, thank you so much. This has been great. I'm going to show your poster one more time for the people that came on later. So, this is Jodi's poster. She made. All these children's lives were lost, and take a look at that, guys. Look at how old they were. Look, they're really young. Look at that, like 15, 17, 21, 23. I mean, all these lives were lost. See, me and Jodi, we believe that, of course, life or death is inevitable, but death due to addiction is 100% preventable. That's why we're here. That's why our flag is planted here. And she's a non-alcoholic, non-addict, but she does it out loud like the rest of us. It's amazing. I never thought I would meet like a quote unquote normie had the same passion for recovery that I do. So we're going to wrap up right now, Jodi. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is there
Thank
anything that you would
you.
like to say before we end this?
Oh gosh, I just want to say you're a blessing for this world, and thank you so much for what you're doing. And I know that God and Jared brought us together, and
Yeah.
Judy, and
Yeah,
Judy.
yeah, and Judy. Yeah, and Miss Judy.
Judy's
Yeah,
amazing,
yeah,
and it's an honor to be here
yeah.
with you. So
Yeah,
thank you so
and
much.
yeah, one more thing. I know Hawaii is your second home too. So once we start getting going in Hawaii, I definitely would have you come up and put the microphone in your hand in Hawaii too, because
Oh,
addiction doesn't care where you are. Hawaii, you're in the Philippines, you're in the United States, you're in another country. Addiction doesn't discriminate. So your message should be heard around the world. So
thank
wherever I
you.
do events, trust me, I will call you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I
Thanks,
appreciate
Luca.
you so much again, you guys. Thank you, all you guys, for tuning in. This has been an amazing, amazing live. I love it, but now it's coming to an end. So again, Jodi, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. I will stay in
Thank
touch
you
with
so
you,
much.
and yeah, I look forward to seeing you at the fundraiser.
Okay, mahalo. Thank you.
Yeah, mahalo.
Love you
Aloha.
guys.
Bye.
Aloha.
Aloha. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Oh wait, do you know how to end it, Jodi? Sorry.
Do I just close it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, there we go, guys. So that was Jodi's story. This amazing woman, man. So again, if you guys have a story to tell, you guys know somebody like Jodi that has a story to tell, reach out to me. You know, I'm going back live again. This is my first one back in a month. So I'm filling up my calendar. I mentioned in the beginning, we also host recovery meetings, non-denominational. All fellowships are welcome. Support groups, everybody. You know, it's on Wednesday night through Zoom at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please, guys, thank you so much. Reach out if you need help. Thank you. Have a great weekend.